Hello, hello, beautiful people. So good to be with you here today. We are in April. The world is changing overnight. Businesses are booming and dying. And everything that I'm doing this month is meant to support you in building your own version of a virus-proof business. If you are a spiritual teacher, if you are a healer, now is your time. Now is the time that the world needs you more than ever. Now is the time when you are positioned to actually make whatever financial goal you have been wanting to make unapologetically in tremendous service to the planet. So throughout the month of April, all we're talking about is sales, because if you are willing to step into your greatness, willing to lean into the discomfort of having sales conversations, which we all know, this can be the turning point in the business that will have a solid foundation for the rest of your life. Tell me if that sounds good to you. I want this message is polarizing for people. Not everybody wants to talk about this. Okay, so I want anyone who's not excited about building a virus-proof, super sustainable, incredible business. If this is that's not you, great. Go watch someone else's YouTube. And if that is you, I want you to tune in, like really get present here, really pay attention. Pull out your notes. Let's go deep today. So if you're here live, tell me where you're coming from. What's your name? What are you working on? What questions are you coming here with? And tell me what you think your real job is in a sales conversation. Chat me up. What do you think your real job is? Let's make this a little interactive. Hello, hello. Hi, Surya. Nice to see you. There's a lot of people right now. I'm just going to wait for your comments and responses to come in. A lot of people right now who are feeling conflicted about selling because they think in a sales conversation, they're confused about what their real job is in a sales conversation. So that's why I'm pushing you guys. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, great responses. Your job in a sales conversation is to serve. Abso-fucking-lutely. Always. That's what we are all here for. There's nothing else. The greatest joy, the greatest pleasure, the greatest delight, the greatest contribution we make is when we help other people. So yes, absolutely. So Surya, it might be worth asking, if you never sell anything, why not? There's probably inside that, there's something that you believe the real job of a salesperson is something that you don't want to do, and that's why you're not doing it. Erica, yes. This is really the punchline. I'm gonna like throw it out there now. Your biggest job in a sales conversation that's unique to a sales conversation, right? Like your job is to serve all the time, whether you're in a sales conversation, washing the dishes, sleeping, it doesn't matter. You're in service all the time. But in a sales conversation, your job is to help the person you're speaking to experience clarity. Clarity, facilitation is your big job. That's your real job. And you guys are fleshing this out. So Becca, yes, part of that clarity is, do they want help? And if so, do you have the help that they're looking for? Yes, 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 yes. So Surya, bring it in because that'll help everybody else. Here's what I think is in the room around sales conversations. So I'm just going to put it out there. This has always been in the room, but it's especially prevalent right now as so many people are losing their jobs and struggling with money, and all governments are giving out more loans than they may have ever given out in the history of the world. I mean, like, people are in a kind of crisis about money. So there has been a lot of tension for many people around selling during a time when their perception is, money is scarce, right? Who am I to be making money when other people are not making money? Who am I to be building a thriving, successful spiritual business when other people are struggling and losing their jobs? Who am I to be making money, particularly if I'm selling to people who were losing money? Who am I? That's not fair. That's taking money from them, right? Those are the kind of thoughts that are slowing people down. The people that I'm talking to right now, that's where they get stuck. You guys resonate with any of those thoughts? Any of those thoughts arising for you? We can debunk them all, okay? But it's helpful to know which one of those are landing. Part of what's so cool about this time is that, as I was saying, these issues are issues all the time. These limited beliefs, these fears about if you sell something, it means you're taking something from someone else. That, I mean, of course, if you have that belief, why would you want to sell anything ever? That sounds terrible, right? That anyone who's actually in alignment with the desire to serve is not going to want to take something from someone else. So we're talking about clarity in multiple ways, because this time of COVID-19 and quarantine and going inward is polarizing these limited beliefs. It's making it even more explicit why we get so stuck. It's the same stuff we've always been stuck around and tied up around, but it's extra clear right now. So lean in, use this time to go deeper, use this time to clean up your mindset, use this time to clarify your own understanding of what you're doing when you sell. So that use this time to become masterful at this. So there's nothing blocking you in this area anymore. May it be so that you leave this quarantine confident, clear, and masterful around sales, because you use this time to diligently unpack anything that's slowing you down, any false belief that's stopping you. So we'll come back to your limited beliefs. I really want to hear from you guys about that. Like, where do you feel guilty? Where do you feel like hiding? Where do you feel like it's not okay for you to be successful? It's not okay for you to make money. Keep sharing those things in the chat. I know it's vulnerable. That's how we're going to move fastest. Like, let's go. As you're doing that, I'm going to go to the opposite extreme and highlight really the subject of this call around clarity. What do I mean when I say that? Everyone is approaching a fork in the road in their life if they are speaking to you. If they're having a conversation with you where you in your mind are like, I wonder if this is a potential client for me. I wonder if we're meant to work together. If that thought even crosses your mind, what that means is that that person is at a crossroads in their life. They're at a crossroads. That's why they're talking to you. They would not have answered the phone, made the date, met you on Zoom if they were not at that crossroads. Whether they know it or not is a separate issue. This may not be conscious that they're at the crossroads. That's part of your job, is to help them see the crossroads that they're at. Your job is to help them look at the truth of the choice that's in front of them, which is this is an anytime, all the time kind of choice. And if they're talking to you, it's because there's something that's coming to a head. So the anytime, all the time choice is, do I want to grow or do I want to stay the same? It's very simple. Growing requires that I step into discomfort. It requires that I step into the unknown. It requires that I do things I haven't done before. It requires that I be seen in ways I haven't seen before by myself and by others, right? Growth is edgy by definition, always, forever. It will never not be that way. That's the nature of growth. And so we are sort of habituated to want to stay the same, at least in the short term, because that's what's more comfortable for us. Always, every single person, moment to moment, we're making these choices. Do I want to lean in? Do I want to grow into more? Do I want to claim more for myself? Do I want to be seen in this other way? Do I want to have a virus-proof business? Do I want to make more money, not less, even right now during COVID-19? Or do I want to stay in my comfort zone where there's no risk? And I want to encourage you guys that really the best way that you can facilitate clarity is by not having an attachment to what they choose. It's up to them. It's up to them. We've all made both choices, right? Like, let's be honest. We've all had moments where we chose growth, and we've all had moments where we chose not to grow. So be compassionate with anyone that you're speaking to. There's no right or wrong here. You're not trying to get them to choose one thing or another. Let me say that again. As a salesperson, you're not trying to get someone to choose something specific. You're just trying to help them see clearly the truth of the choice that they're making and make the choice that they actually want to make. Give me like thumbs up and response if this is making sense to you. If you're like getting what if you're picking up what I'm putting down, let me know. Classy Vegan, hi, welcome. Yes, it is so timely, Erica. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your energy. I resonate with the belief that I have to feel guilty for being prosperous and receiving abundance while so many others are struggling. Let's just pause on that for a second. How many of you relate to that? I think this is actually the core issue in almost everyone that meets me forever. Not just right. I mean, now we know, especially if you didn't know before, in the United States and in the world in general, we have been in an economic boom for the last 4 years. So the whole time that I've been in business, I've been working with people who were living in a society that was economically thriving. And still, that was the core issue. Who am I to thrive and prosper when other people aren't? Whether those other people are my old friends or colleagues or family, there's always some departure, or you'd already be thriving. You'd already be making the money that you want to make. So again, there's no judgment about that. That's not right or wrong. That's just the nature of the beast. It's the nature of changing your relationship to money, is that you have to confront that. You have to be willing to make the money that you want to make, independently of what other people are making. It's sort of irrelevant. And a lot of people are terrified to go even approach that edge, even contemplate it. So what is that guilt? Use this time to turn up the volume on that material, where that's coming from. Explore it, get curious. Who taught you to feel guilty? You weren't born feeling guilty. Somewhere along the way, someone suggested to you that you should feel guilty, or they themselves modeled feeling guilty. You got it into your head somehow that guilt was an appropriate feeling to have around receiving. Because here's the truth. While everyone has access on a universal soul level, everyone has access to the same resources. On a material level, we know for real that's not true. Like, we look around us, it's really easy to see there's tremendous diversity, tremendous disparity. So whatever you create, whatever you choose, there will always be people with more and there will always be people with less materially. What do you want to do with that? How do you want to relate to that? And I will propose that guilt is not a particularly productive response. It's totally human. I have had it. I lived decades with that as my primary response. So that's not to make it wrong, but it's not, it doesn't really help anyone, right? The guilt doesn't serve anyone. The guilt serves your ego. The guilt is selfish. Isn't that funny? I think that's hilarious. I'm just reading your comments. Let me see if there's anything else we need to bring in right now. Yes. So, you know what's interesting, I didn't know this was going to happen, but as we are working on this material together, I'm just feeling there's like two bodies of work that we're going to explore in the next 15, 20, 30 minutes. On the other side is like the clear, clean, crisp knowing of what your actual job in a sales conversation is. And I think they're both important. That as one cleans up, the other one will get cleaner. As this one gets clearer to you, this one will clean up. So they're so related. They're almost like a yin and a yang, like two sides of the same coin. Let's go back to the clarity of your real job. I just want to come back to that. So they're at a fork in the road, or they wouldn't be talking to you. You're helping them see that fork. Manipulation is what happens when you care which fork they take. Manipulation is what happens when you don't know what your real job is and you're just trying to make money. Manipulation happens when you are coming from unconsciousness. It's what happens when you're coming from fear. It's what happens when you're coming from guilt and shame. It's what happens when you're people pleasing. It's what happens when you want people to like you and say yes to you rather than make a conscious choice that actually aligns to what they need. Manipulation is what happens when you are nice instead of actually serving people. So manipulation is real. And there's plenty of people who have been manipulative in a sales conversation because people are fucking manipulative. Like, this is what our unconscious material shows up as. A huge majority, I don't know what the percentage is, but a huge majority of our unconscious material shows up as manipulation. So that's real. We all have manipulative parts. Don't make that wrong either. And that's unconsciousness in a sales conversation. That's not sales. You can manipulate the cashier at the grocery store as easily as you can manipulate someone that you're trying to sell a program to. So the manipulation is a separate issue. Definitely do your work to clean that manipulative part of you up so that it's not in charge. You do not want that leading. Good that you're aware of it. Good that you don't want to manipulate people in a sales conversation. That's fantastic. Continue to do that. That doesn't mean that you aren't selling. That just means that you're learning how to sell well. That means that you're learning how to sell in service to someone else rather than in selfishness for yourself. And I'll just throw out there too that I think that selling, like manipulative or selfish selling, also looks like not selling. It is selfish of you right now. If you have mastery that would help people, it's selfish of you to not be offering that mastery to the world. And if you have it and you're not charging for it, generally speaking, that's also selfish. Because you're not going to show up in your excellence if you're giving it all away, and people are not going to get as much out of it if they're not invested. So the manipulation shows up like around the microcosm of sales. It shows up in not doing sales. It shows up in doing sales in a way that's manipulative. It shows up in avoiding sales and people pleasing instead. I mean, it's not right. Like, it's just super not conditional. The manipulation is unconditional. It can show up in anything, in any way. Separate issue. So your job is to help your people who come to you see the fork in the road. And let me tell you, once again, COVID-19 is polarizing people. It's polarizing their experience. They may never have known they were at a fork in the road, but they do now. Everyone knows now. They know they're at a fork in the road individually, and they know that we collectively are at a fork in the road at every level, in our small communities, in our global community. Major fork in the road. Help them see the truth of that fork. What is it that they're choosing between? In one direction is what they really want. Unapologetically, no holds bars, the truth of what they actually desire. One of my clients, Tamara, said this beautiful thing to me yesterday, and I just have to shout her out. She talked about asking her clients, and I think on social media, she's like sharing this big question. When this quarantine is over, in a week or a month or 6 months or 7 years, however long it is that it lasts, what do you want to say about this time when you look back? Right? That's a great question for helping people see what's the fork in the road that they're at. What is the opportunity that's showing up right here, right now? And what are they going to do with it? So you help them see the fork in the road by helping them articulate, what do they want to be able to say when this quarantine is over? Where are they going? How can they use this to get there? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it act like? When they see themselves in that future, why does it delight them? What about that future is what they want? Help them see it. Help them imagine it. Use their imagination. Help them use their imagination to see it. And then help them see the other side. Well, what happens if you don't do that? Like, what is the other choice? There's always multiple choices. What's the other main choice? Like, if you keep doing what you're doing now, what happens? What does that look like? What does that feel like? What does that sound like? You're asking exactly the same questions about both paths. And the whole time you are just steadfast. My job here is to facilitate clarity. I'm not here to convince them to go one way or the other. And by the way, I might have a personal preference. Like I, Jesse Johnson, personally prefer that make more money, serve more people, and step into the next level of who you really are. But it's none of my fucking business what you choose because it's your life. Choose whatever you want. My personal preference isn't relevant when it comes to your life. That's all it is. It's a personal preference. So my job is to help you in this moment see the choice that you're making. It's a little micro choice, but it touches a lot of things. How are you choosing to show up around sales? How are you specifically during this quarantine? How are you choosing to show up around the material that has you going into guilt, fear, and shame and not offering what you are here to offer? How does that serve anyone? So you now we can go kind of meta because I'm teaching you, like in a sales conversation, as you facilitate clarity, what that looks like is helping people see both sides of the fork in the road that they're at. Help them understand that they are going to go this way or that way. They're going to. So which way are they going to go? Which way is it that they want to go? Am I back? Am I unfrozen? So it's always so distracting when that happens. I have to come back. Technology, support us in this moment. So, okay, great. Let me know if you like any part that you missed. I'm happy to go back. You're facilitating clarity about that juncture, and in this moment, you can see the clarity of your own fork in the road, right? So that's it. The whole sales conversation, no matter what you're selling, no matter what you're doing, is simply helping the person that you're speaking to look at both truths. This is this option. This is this option. I may not have ever made this choice consciously before, but I'm going to this time. Let me look. What does this choice look like? Not just today, but down the road. What does this other choice look like? Not just today, but down the road. And which one do I want to choose? And whatever they choose, you fucking celebrate it. Celebrate their clarity. And if you don't feel clarity, keep going, right? With permission, in collaboration with them, help them find clarity. I think that's the meat of the point of today in terms of your real job. And that should be very liberating because it's not your job to get someone to say yes. It's not your job to get someone to do something. It's not your job to get anything, actually. It's your job to serve. It's your job to shine the light of your attention on someone else for 10 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour, and to help them open their eyes and look at something that may be difficult to look at. That's it. Everything else is up to them. Everything else is up to God. Everything else is not in your hands. And when you show up in your greatness and your clarity about your job, you will easily facilitate clarity for the people that you're speaking to. All of my clients right now, and I have a bunch right now, Jesse Johnson Coaching is serving a lot of people right now, and every single one of them is making more money during this time, not less. Or they're putting systems in place in their businesses for a pivot that is designed to bring in more money, not less, for the foreseeable future. That's the responsibility of a business owner. We talked about this last week. If you have a business, you got to bring money into that business. Otherwise, it's like having a child and starving the child, right? Like a good business owner makes money. That's the definition. So just like a good parent feeds their child, there's no middle ground there. This should not be confusing. And the fact that things are shifting in the world does not change that. It doesn't change the responsibility of parents to feed their children, and it doesn't change the responsibility of business owners to bring money into their businesses. This is a constant. So let's go back and just see if there's any other micro little nuggets that are blocking you guys from claiming fully your willingness to dive in and make more money in April than perhaps you've ever made before, in service to more people than you've ever served before. Let's use YouTube. Like, use the thumbs up if you're ready to commit to that. Let this be the video where all the viewers are using the thumbs up, not to communicate that they like me or YouTube or the video, although you might feel that way too, but to actually like make it an action for yourself. I'm a yes for this. I have the option to do thumbs down, not do anything, or thumbs up, and I'm choosing the thumbs up. I am making this step. I am choosing to lean in this direction. More money than I've ever made before in April. What would that look like? What would that mean? How would your business need to change or pivot in order to meet the needs of the people that you're here to serve? Fuck yes. I love these. Yes, yes. Claim it, my friends, my people, my loves, my beloveds. This is your time. For decades, we've been living in a culture where the wealthy in general were conceptually isolated to potentially greedy, smarmy people. You had to work on Wall Street. You had to start a tech company. You had to do like all this stuff, which is fine. There's nothing wrong actually with these things. If you think that there's anything wrong with working on Wall Street or starting a tech company, that's something for you to look at. There's nothing wrong with that. But it was isolated, and spiritual teachers and healers were the poor ones. To the point that when I started my business, many of you guys know this story. When I started my business, one of my dearest friends said to me, Jesse, if you're focused on making money from working with spiritual teachers and healers, you're never going to be successful. Those are the poorest people on the planet. 2 years later, 7-figure business. Anything is possible. What if at the end of this crisis, the spiritual teachers and healers were conceptually, in our culture, they were the wealthy ones? You go to school, you go to college, you look at all your career options, you're wondering, like, what am I going to do with my life? I think I'd like to make some money. I could be a doctor, I could be a tech startup founder, I could work on Wall Street, or I could be a spiritual teacher. That's what's happening. Because part of what's happening during this crisis is that the people are looking at the truth of their lives, and if they have not been attending to their spiritual health, it's showing up. It's showing up in their anxiety, in their fear, in their misery, while the world is changing, because they don't have these resources. Now, some people are going to suffer, but there's a lot of people who are going to wake the fuck up and realize, I need a spiritual mentor. I need a guide right now. I need a transformational coach. I need a healer. I need some fucking healing, not just from my physical, like, respiratory system. I need it from my spirit. I've disconnected from my spirit and I'm ready to reconnect. Who's going to support them? You. Good call. Good work. Any final questions before we transform? moving back into our whatever else it is that you're going to. The last like 20 comments are just like, yes, 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 yes. Fuck yes. More, not less. It's happening. Thumbs up all the way. Yes, yes, yes. Continue to feel free to use the thumbs up to activate like, yes, I'm a fuck yes for this. More money in April, period, the end. Next week, we're going to come back and talk again about sales. Next week, we're going to talk more about good sales versus bad sales and what that actually means. So those of you that have some like lingering mindset stuff, definitely tune in for next week. And use the comments in these YouTube videos to let me know where you get stuck, what questions you have. If there's any way that I can help you or my team can help you, please let us know. This is what we're here for. More than ever, supporting the spiritual leadership of our world in building true wealth, so that you can serve more with freedom, with ease, so that the financial component is integrated and you're not dumbing things down or hiding or secretly unconsciously manipulating. Okay. Alrighty, guys. Great work today. Great job. I'm sending you all so much love, sending you so many blessings. May you connect with your ideal clients. May you feel the clarity of yourself, your purpose, and help them facilitate the clarity of their own choice. Enjoy the ones that say yes. Enjoy the ones that say no. Free them to live their lives so that you can free yourself to know the truth, speak the truth. See you next time.